It went something like this. Cruising down the street in my 6'4". Went to the park to get the scoop. Knuckleheads out there, cold shooting some hoops. A car pulls up, who can it be? A fresh El Camino rolling Kilo G. He rolled down his window and he started to say, it's all about making that GTA.
It's episode 64 of Cowboy Shit with Ted and Wasey. Here we go. I don't even know what show we're into on as far as the social distancing and the
I think
quarantine
it's number
go.
4.
It's the fourth one in this
Fourth
series.
or fifth. Pretty sure it's 4. Like, yeah.
I don't know. I've lost track. You know
Either
what?
way, yeah.
The biggest highlight recently is the opening of the golf courses. That's been a
That's huge.
big one. Got a couple rounds in already. Got a couple more lined up. That's
I think even going further into that, the biggest highlight has been the change in weather. Like spring has
Yeah.
finally came to Calgary, where people can get outside. And like, even for me personally, like if you had talked to me the first 2 weeks of quarantine to the last 2 weeks, it's like a completely different person.
I'm very thankful that the weather turned around because it was looking pretty bleak there for a while when we were locked up
man.
inside and it was 30 below still and you had to go on walks and it was cold as heck outside and that was rough.
It was pretty dreary there for a bit, wasn't it?
It's still kind of bleak with how everything's looking. Like we're on the rodeo side of things, everything since our last show, everything's really came down. The Calgary Stampede cancels. Ponoka Stampede's out. Over 50% of the Canadian Pro Rodeo season is now canceled. There's no events, it looks like, until we might be lucky to go by maybe the
September.
summertime. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to say maybe July, August, maybe September. Right now it's looking like probably more like September if we get anything, if we're even allowed to, but it might go on further. And I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like if we can't do much until like next year. What are we going to do if we have the rest of the year off and there's nothing comes back? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
sorry, go ahead, Wace.
I'm lucky where I have another semester of school left, so I have something that I'll be doing in the fall at least. But yeah, I don't know, it'll be a weird summer. It's crazy, like. Yeah, just like no big events or like you said, Stampede done and like probably like BBJ and all those big events that people like live for in the summertime. It's gonna be strange to not have those around.
Yeah, because it's even May right now. Like I've missed we missed Eggy Days was canceled right off the bat. The tarp auction for the Stampede was postponed, and then we went over to the next one would have been Brandon was postponed to November for the PBR. Then this weekend I actually would have had off. Next weekend we'd be in London, Ontario. That's canceled. So May was a bunch of travel. So now May is going to be mostly at home, and maybe going out with my brother here, renovate his new house at some point. But we'll see that way. But anyways, I might have to get a real job at some point. So if you're listening and you're hiring at some point and you'd be willing to take somebody for work that isn't very good at work, or following much for directions and has been self-employed for the last 10 years, if you want to call.
You're the guy.
Yeah, I'm the guy. If you want to call,
Hit me
cool.
up.
If not, that's okay too. The best paying job I found on the job website was at the Bottle Depot, actually. I think it was like $26.75 an hour or something crazy like that. So
No, I would throw up constantly working at the Bottle Depot.
You think so?
Oh man, have you been? When's the last time you were at the Bottle Depot?
It's probably been most of the year. Like probably been since last summer at some point.
It's disgusting in there, man.
But it's not.
All that.
It'd be pretty gross for the most part, but you'd get used to it after a while, and you just shower when you get home, and like I don't know what.
It constantly smells like Cowboy's tent during Stampede. That's what a Bottle Depot smells like.
Well, you got pretty used to it when you were working for Labatt's, so I mean, what do you do?
I didn't love the smell.
Yeah, but you got used to it and you survived. Like I mean, I don't know, for like $26 an hour, that's like I might do it.
Start some bottles.
I'm not above it, right? I'll go do it if I have to. Like I think I might prefer that to some other work. I don't know what else to do right now either. I'm not sure. It's kind of.
I feel you. It's a weird time, buddy, for sure.
Yeah, because a guy's gonna have to do something at some point here, unless I don't know what else we're gonna do here. So yeah. Seriously though, if you need some help with some stuff, I'm out there.
He's available.
Okay, so we're already 5 minutes in almost, and we haven't even talked about our guest today, which is unbelievable. I don't even know why he emailed
Biggest
us
guest
back.
in podcast history.
Yeah, in our show, Larry the Cable Guy. Holy shit, eh? Isn't that unreal? Like I just took a shot in the dark. Like I've known shot my shot. Got sent the email to his people, and yeah, they actually got back to us a few days later and got it lined up. And he's got a new special out. It's called Remain Seated. We watched it the other night. We got it off iTunes, also on Google Play. You can find it where you get your content these days. But really cool to see a new special from Larry. I hadn't done one in a couple of years now, but man, this guy is like, he's the
I didn't
biggest
realize
guest.
he was a Grammy winger.
A
I didn't realize that.
A Grammy winger. He's a two-time
Winner,
Grammy
winner.
nominee and
Or whatever. He didn't like
four-time
being nominated
Billboard.
for.
Yeah, for Grammys. How wild is that? He's the
That's
voice
pretty
of
cool.
Mater in Disney's Cars 1, 2, and 3.
Great films.
Yeah, part of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, which I think at one point I tried to find the actual stat and I didn't find like the line anywhere. I did a ton of digging and listened to some other podcasts and whatnot. But I think he was one of the most successful comedians ever, like in the whole world at one time. Like I think I did see a Forbes list where he was like top 10 on comedians back in like the
there was one point when those blue collar guys were like the shit.
Well, they kind of hit a different audience too, right? Like it was kind of comedy for rednecks and for a large group of people that were underserved in that market so far.
100%. Yeah,
but
exactly.
also been in movies, produced his own TV shows. There's theme parks with his voice in it for cars. Like different rides at Disney and like Disneyland, Disney World, video games with cars in it, just like movies he's been in, like just wild the stuff that he's done so far. So
that's pretty cool.
Unreal.
Yeah, pretty lucky to get a chance to chat with him.
Yeah, so we got that coming up for you here later in the show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Larry and his folks for taking the time to speak with us. It was such a cool deal. Just so cool. His actual name, though, for those who don't know, is Daniel Lawrence Whitney. So his real name is Dan Whitney, and Larry the Cable Guy is his onstage act, I guess you would call it, maybe persona. Yeah.
Persona.
So a little known fact there, if you didn't know. So yeah.
Fun fact today.
Yeah, pretty thankful to have Larry on the show and loved the chat with him. So it was great. Mm-hmm. And he talked about a lot of rodeo stuff, bull riding stuff, and the PBR is back actually in Guthrie, Oklahoma. That was the last weekend in April. So they're back. They've got a couple more events coming up this weekend and next weekend. Great to see them, having events and getting things going again.
Yeah, they're kind of the first movers when it comes to pro sports coming back. Sounds like the UFC is coming back in the next couple of weeks too with some fights. So
I believe it's this weekend too, Wasey. So two companies owned by Endeavor both back this weekend. First back on the sports side of things. So
good.
Also, we talked about a number of events being canceled, but Pro Rodeo looking to make its return on the 22nd of May in Arkansas. So we'll follow that for the next show and let you know where things are at that way. So Pro Rodeo might be back in some facet then, and we're up here. We're shut down a little bit longer than a lot of places.
Slowly opening up though.
Yeah. So we can maybe go to a restaurant here again next week, and we'll see. So we're just living in the meantime though. But and
I can't wait. I can't wait to have a meal at a restaurant.
It'll be nice. We've ate out. I think we've ate out 3 or maybe 4 times since this thing started. I've actually lost a little bit of weight. Not gonna lie, my pants don't fit quite the same anymore.
That's not bad.
I walked the course both of rounds so far. So just saying, getting
not a big deal.
Decent shape.
Fitness. Fitness is your middle name.
Question. So big news, like more big news on the show. You actually had to get tested for the COVID.
I am a COVID survivor.
So far, I don't know, but you could get it again now, right? Like you get tested, but that doesn't mean you're just out of the woods.
Doesn't mean I'm scot-free, but I had a COVID scare. I started a new job.
Got one day in, just about got the COVID.
2 days in, second day on the job training. Then I get a text from the individual I was working with. saying that they had feeling some symptoms. They thought it was just allergies, but then they called and said that they getting tested and needed to isolate. So then that kind of one thing led to another, and I needed to isolate and get tested. But thankfully, my test results came back negative. So I have been my isolation shackle has been lifted.
What was that experience like?
It was frustrating for the beginning, just because like, well, like it was kind of fun. It was kind of funny because I was like really leery and kind of freaked out the whole day, like just because like my first experience on the job and like a lot of people coming up to you and like you're in places with a lot of people and so like I don't know if this is like I don't know, man, I was kind of sketched out about the whole COVID thing and then that happened and it's like, well, like why don't you just you're not feeling good, you should stay home or you know what I mean? Like that was kind of frustrating that way and then it turned into like being nervous like, oh, what if I actually do have it? And then I was kind of it actually was a big like kind of took the wind out of my sail because I was buzzing pretty good there for the last couple of weeks. Like I bought a new bike and I've been working out and my bike riding me outside. And then all of a sudden you get dealt that blow where it's like, hey, well now you got to isolate for 10 days. So it kind of was a little bit disheartening. So, but I was really happy to get the news that I wasn't tested. I didn't test positive. So
did that person? How did that person's test go, or do you even know?
They're negative as well.
Okay.
And that's what that was kind of what I was waiting. Like my test results came back before theirs. So once they got theirs and they said they were negative, I was like, okay, well I should be safe to go outside. So I went and spent the day outside yesterday, and yeah.
So what you had to go
to normal now.
It was like a big. You had to go to
a drive-through.
It was a drive-through.
You had the drive-through. Yeah. So I just went to a hospital just down the road. You wait your line in the queue, and they wave you in. They make sure that you're the right person getting the test, and they swab your tonsils, and that's it. It was actually that process itself was pretty simple and like efficient. So yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a little scary. Not gonna lie, man. It was just like shit. Like everything kind of got real, right?
Oh
like,
yeah.
Oh, well, like I actually have this shit. So.
Oh yeah.
No, so, it was an interesting process for sure.
Did they not give you any like a mask or anything or gloves like on your new job deal?
We had all the proper PPE. It's just like we didn't have gloves though. We had like hand sanitizer and masks. But they got to a point during the day where you couldn't wear the mask just because like you're breathing heavy and you can't see. Like I wear glasses, so I didn't wear the mask the whole day, which is maybe my own fault. But anyways, but yeah, you had the PPE and all the proper steps and stuff. But it was just one of those things. It's a busy day, and we touched a few of the same things, and we're maybe a bit closer than the 6 meters, or 6 feet or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just one of those deals. But anyways, yeah, it was quite the experience, that's for sure.
Well, we're glad that you tested negative and can kind of keep living in this bubbles that we're still in. But that was good news, Wace. So keep staying safe.
Buddy.
And we'll be back right after this with our interview, our biggest guest yet on Cowboy Shit, Larry the Cable Guy on episode 64.
Good old tomatoes and homemade wine and country boy can survive. Country folks can survive because you can't starve us out and you can't make us run. Cause when them old boys raised on shotgun, we say grace and we say ma'am. If you ain't into that, we don't give a damn.
Our guest today, I can't believe we've got him on the phone, but Larry the Cable Guy is a multi-platinum recording artist, a 2-time Grammy nominee, 4-time Billboard Award winner, and one of the top comedians in the world. Part of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, Larry has been the voice of Mater in Disney's Cars 1, 2, and 3. Larry and his wife, Kara, have also created the Get Her Done Foundation, which has donated more than $7 million to various charities. Larry, thanks for the call today. This is amazing. Thanks for being here.
Oh, man, I was happy to call you when they said you were on the list. I'm like, Ted Stove and daggum. Let's do it. Love my rodeo, folks.
Well, let's talk about that first. How'd you get involved in the rodeo side of things? I mean, you had some bulls in the PBR for a number of years back, probably about 10 or 15 years ago now, but let's just talk rodeo off the bat.
Yeah, let's do. You know what? I grew up in a small town Pawnee City, Nebraska. I grew up town of 1,200. I was a pig. I raised pigs, but I lived next door to the cattle barn. So almost every day of my life, I'd grab my whip and head over and unload cattle trucks. And of course, we had Little Brick's rodeo down the road. And I'd always go to Little Brick's rodeo. And I guess I got hooked on, I just loved livestock and all that because I was a country kid. And when I wanted to be, I became a comedian, but I wanted to be a cattle auctioneer, and I wanted to drive a potbelly hog hauler. That was my big goal in life, Ted.
Really?
And I ended up not doing that, but I still enjoy it. I mean, I bought into a sale barn here locally, and my wife told me when I bought into the sale barn, she said, why in the world would you invest in a sale barn? Because you know you're not going to make a ton of money off that. And I said, it ain't about making money. It's about being able to go down to the sale barn and get on the cattle chutes and load a cattle truck, and nobody can tell me to get the hell out of there. And so that's exactly why I did it. And then when I started coming up through the ranks, you know, I was real good friends with Tater Porter. And so I started sponsoring Tater in the PBR because I love bull riding. And, you know, I mean, going way back to all those bull riding guys from back in the day, you know, Aaron Seamus and Troy Dunn and the Carrillo brothers. I mean, man, those were the days. And so I got involved in the PBR through Tater. I sponsored Tater Porter and all the way through those years. And then when he won the PBR finals there in 2000, I was sitting right there. And then of course, I had shirts and Get Her Done PBR shirts and all that kind of stuff that we sold there. And then I wanted to get a rodeo team. So I put a rodeo team called the Get Her Done Rodeo Team. And man, I had a ton of people. You'll probably recognize some of them. I had Jerome Schneeberger.
Yeah.
He was my tie-down calf roper. And Britt Buckus I had Jake Long was my roper, and Coleman Proctor. And I had Wade Sundale for a while, Clayton Zeibel, Jimmy Folk. I sponsored the legend, Guy Allen, for a long time. And then Tater Porter. And then I still got one left. When I quit doing a lot of merchandise, and I've been doing this a long time, and when I quit doing arenas, I quit doing a lot of merchandise because after a while it got to be kind of a hassle to do it. When I quit doing merchandise, I kind of got out of the sponsorship game for rodeo because I wasn't really making anything off of it. I didn't need it for advertising my stuff, and I loved helping the riders along the way. I enjoyed doing that, but once you get married and have kids, things start progressing. Certain things kind of change on you, but I sure enjoyed those days with my rodeo team and going to the national finals and watching them. And man, I loved it. That was a lot of fun. I still love it. You know, my buddy Pat Gotch owns the RFD TV network and the Cowboy Channel, and he's my next door neighbor. And he just bought the NFR now from CBS, and man, they got a whole thing going. That was actually kind of my idea to have a ESPN Sports Center type show for rodeo.
Really?
And that's what he bought him a building at the Fort Worth Stockyards down there, and he's got a studio, and they do that now on RF TV and the Cowboy Channel. They have an ESPN type rodeo show.
So he went with it.
So it's awesome. So I've always loved it, and I always will love it. I mean, rodeo is America. It is America to a T, and it's full of good Christian folks and people that still have their priorities right for the most part. And I just love it. I love it. I said for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. Well, What's your favorite memory from the rodeo business, or being at a PBR somewhere? Or there's got to be a fun story from somewhere in your travels there with everybody.
Well, when I was doing my History Channel show, I went down to Houston Rodeo, and Corey Wall's a buddy of mine. Corey Wall's been barrel man for a long time. So I went down there and I set up a whole thing for the History Channel because I wanted to show everybody rodeo. And that's when I was sponsoring BJ Schumacher.
Yeah.
And I went down there and BJ was riding, and so I got to tie his rope before he went out that one night. And went over and hung out with Boyd Plamus. And I got to do a Boyd Plamus called Boyd Plamus, you know, he's always, they call him a cowboy. We like to call him, Freddie Whitfield. Here comes Cowboy Freddie Whitfield. And so I got the microphone and I forget who was riding, but he gave me I did a little thing on the rider and he wrote it, and so I got the score. He let me do the score, and I go, "Get ready to cheer, boys! 89 boys!"
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean I love that. That was fun. So I got to do that at the Houston Rodeo. But Corey Wall for the show put me in the barrel. I wanted to show everybody what a clown went through in the barrel. So, and I get real dizzy. I cannot handle that stuff. And I got in that daggum barrel. They got my fat hind end in there. And that bull, he would not come at the barrel. So they kept rolling me toward the bull. And, of course, I'm getting dizzy and all get out. So I was going to puke in that stupid thing. And, here comes the bull. Almost hit it, and he backed off. So they picked it up. I said, I got to get out of here. So it takes three of them to get me out of the barrel. I finally get out of the barrel. And then we had about a 3-hour break. That was our last scene. They were just going to tape me doing the rope for Schneeberger. And I was so daggum dizzy. There was no place to lay down because I was in that arena. It was all seats. But they had a little stage in the middle. And who was performing that night? It was that group, that country group, where it's the girl singer and the two guys. What's their name?
Sugarland, right? Is that right?
Who?
Oh, Lady Antebellum.
Oh, Lady Antebellum?
It was Lady Annabelle. And they were a kind of a new group. They'd had a couple of hits, but they were just getting big. And I said, I got to go lay down. So I saw that stage, and I went over there, and I plopped down right in the middle of that stage, laying on my back. And 5 minutes later, who comes walking up on stage? Lady Annabelle. And I said, sorry, y'all. First thing they walk up and go, Larry the Cable Guy. And I go, what's up, boys? I go, look, I am dizzy from being in a bull barrel. I know you got to do your sound check, but you're going to have to walk around because I ain't moving. So Lady Annabelle's up there singing as they're hopping over me.
Oh, wow. Well, I was asking a few of my friends who knew you and had mentioned before. One of them said that you were friends with Hadley Barrett as well.
I loved Hadley like a grandpa, man. Hadley and I were buddies. We'd call each other on the phone at night, check on each other, and say hi. And he always had a funny joke to tell me, and I always had a funny joke to tell Hadley. And oh man, it was look, Hadley Barrett and Boyd Plamus. That's rodeo, man. That is the voice of rodeo. Hadley Barrett was a voice of rodeo. And when we lost Hadley, we lost one of America's great rodeo voices. And so they had a little thing for him, and I did a little thing via satellite. I was working. I couldn't be there, so I did a thing for his funeral. And it doesn't get any better than old Hadley Barrett. I'll tell you. Oh, Hadley Barrett. I mean, hey, Dad, what is that? I mean, he always had, boy, he wouldn't let me go till he got a couple of laughs out of me. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask you about being on the road and what your favorite parts about traveling and being on tour are.
Man, it was a whirlwind. I tell you, it was so much fun. I mean, you're traveling with your buddies and you're in a we were doing arenas, so we were doing 10, 12,000 people a night. It was literally like a rock and roll band, and we'd pull in, and we never, if it was a nice day and it was in the fall and the summer, we would bring all the furniture that they had in the green room and bring it out to the buses, and we'd set up a living room out by the buses, and we'd spend all day out there playing basketball, throwing the baseball around. We took a workout trailer with us so we could get in there and, try to stay in shape best we could. And I mean, we'd pull up early in the morning at, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And by the time we woke up, everything would be set up and ready to go. And we'd stay there all day. About 6 o'clock, we'd take a shower, run in, do a meet and greet, do a show. As soon as the show was over, we'd run right back to the bus, get changed, and we'd have about 30, 40 people come out. And I'm telling you, it was the best times of our lives. And then I got married, my wife, and I had my kids and my wife. My kids grew up on that tour bus, so for 5 years, it was 2 buses and 2 tractor trailers. One had the stage and lights, the other one had the workout equipment, and the other bus. At this point, it was all about having a good time on the road. We'd already made some pretty good money the first 10 years, so the next 5 years it was let's have a good time. So we took all these amenities out with us, and the only thing is you didn't really get to enjoy the city. I never went anywhere because it was just hard to go places with your family and not have to put up with some stuff, Plus, not everybody's a fan, Ted.
Yeah, fair enough.
You gotta watch these liberal maniacs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's kind of like rodeoing too, isn't it? Like it's a similar idea. You're on the road the whole time, and we don't get to check out the cities much either. We're in the parking lots most of the time, and you probably you wouldn't have a vehicle. You'd have to take a cab to get anywhere too, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, so it is. It's pretty much anybody that's doing arena stuff and going day to day and weekend to weekend. You don't get to see a lot of the city. I really don't remember when we went out a lot, especially me and the wife and kids. The crew would sometimes go out and do stuff, but we'd hardly ever see any of the city. We'd see the skylights or whatever, but we wouldn't see a lot of the city. I remember one time, we got a funny story. One time we pulled up, I forget where we was performing at, but everybody wanted to go to this restaurant that was pretty famous. It was just like a diner, but it was supposed to be really nice. So I said, man, I can't go, man. I mean, this was in the height. This is in the heyday. I mean, like I said, we're doing 10, 12,000 a night. And I said, guys, I can't go out to this place. I'm going to get hammered. And they said, well, don't just put on something where nobody recognizes you. So I put on a Nike. My buddy bought me this as a joke because he knew I would never wear it. But he bought me a Nike tracksuit. So I went out with my wife, and just before we had kids, I was with my wife. I was my tour manager. The trainer was there, bus driver. We're waiting in line to get into this restaurant. There's people everywhere, and there's a guy behind me, and I got on a black tracksuit. I got my hat on backwards and a pair of sunglasses. And this guy leans over and he goes, "Hey, are you Larry the Cable Guy?" I go, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "What are you doing wearing that shit?" And I go, "It looks stupid, doesn't it?" He goes, "Damn right it looks stupid." I said, "Well, they told me to wear this because I wouldn't get recognized." He goes, "Well, I recognized you and you look like a dumbass."
Oh, wow.
And then, I know. And then he started laughing. He gave me the knuckles and said, "Don't worry, I won't say nothing." I mean, he was a big fan. So, I mean, but it was like, oh, man, I got called out for my tracksuit.
So
I ain't never worn it since.
Yeah, last time you did that. You ended up on a opening video for the PBR. I think it's one of my favorites that we've got to use at these events. How did that come to be?
Yeah, man, I'm having a brain part now, but Sean Gleason, what the heck? Yeah, Sean's a good old guy. Man, I haven't talked to Sean in a while. I get so stinking busy. He's probably mad at me because he called me a while back. I still ain't called him back. I keep forgetting. I'm flipping almost. I'm 57, so I forget stuff. But Sean had called me and asked me if I'd do something special for the finals. And I said, "What do you want me to do?" So I did a video for him. I love doing that. You know, it was a lot of fun. I think since I quit doing bulls and stuff, I don't know. I probably should do more with it because I love it so much. But man, I got so many things that I'm doing that. But I probably should. I love it. I love Sean, and I love the whole PBR thing. I think it's been unbelievably awesome for bull riders get a chance to go out and make good money because it's such a dangerous sport. They deserve to be making as much money as they can. That's for sure.
What are your thoughts on bull riding and what it needs to get to the next level yet now? Like what do you think they need to do?
Well, I got to tell you, just coming from a fan and a guy that likes bull riding, I mean, it seems like at a certain point, you know, when you get sold off and bought by corporations ruin everything. Because corporations get all politically correct and corporations get away from people who brought things to where they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
And they kind of take the personality out of everything and make everything cookie cutter and to the book and I think that for a while there, now there's some guys now getting it back, but I think for a while there they kind of lost their personality a little bit. You didn't have guys that had this, you know what I mean? I think they kind of got away from that. I think that there was. I think that's pretty much. You know, I think they just kind of got away from the personality a little bit. And then it almost became a Brazilian sport. You know,
yeah, for a while.
For a while there, it was almost like 70% of the guys in there were all from Brazil. So it's like you're in America doing an American thing, and nobody recognized anybody. And that's no cut against Brazilian riders. They're good riders.
Oh yeah, they're great.
They're fantastic riders, and it's no cut against them. But, you know, I think it was a little harder for your average American fan of rodeo to really relate to a lot of those guys because they didn't have the personality that we were used to having with some of our guys. And, Canada, when they play, and that's no knock, or it's not saying because they're great riders. But it's like Canadian football. You know, Canadian football only allows X amount of American players.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain amount of Canadian players. You cannot. So I think you got it. But now it's back. Now I think we've had some good kids coming up, and I think it's been replenished, and we have a good mix of people in there. But I think Sean's done a good job. Sean's held it together really well. When you're got big money involved and you fight corporate stuff and they want you to do one thing and you guys know better the other way, it's a hard line to manage. I think Sean's done a great job with it because he loves bull riding. He loves PBR. He's a cowboy. He gets it. And so when you're dealing with big money and corporate influence, you gotta ride a fine line there. I think he does a pretty good job of it.
Oh yeah, I think it's better than it's ever been at this point. I'm looking forward to what they keep doing.
I do too. It's fun to watch again, and it's awesome.
And they're even coming back this weekend too. They've got an event at the Lazy E in Guthrie. Actually, they're gonna do a closed door event for TV. So we got some bull riding back this weekend.
Yeah, no, that's good. They should do that. I mean, these politicians, I don't know what they got to get their head out of their butt. You know, I'll guarantee you the first politician that says comes out and says, look, it's stupid to quarantine healthy people where 98% aren't getting sick. Let's get out and work and let's protect the vulnerable. And, I mean, I don't know why they can't do that. I don't get it. This is the first time in the history of the world that they've quarantined a nation of healthy people.
Yeah. What have you guys been doing while this has been going on?
Oh, what have we been doing? I've been doing stripograms for blind people. I've been. I told my wife the other day. I said we ought to pack a couple of bags and grab the kids and spend a couple of nights in the living room this summer. Might be a fun thing to do. I bought 30 million gallons of oil yesterday because it was -1. So
yeah, where are you gonna keep it all?
I'm working on like Kramer. I'm working on a rubber bladder system here at the house. You know what? We haven't been doing too much. Just kind of hanging out. You know, I go walk a golf course when I can, when it's nice. But my family's been homebodies most of their lives, so they never did much anyway. So it's perfect for them.
My co-host here, Wasey Anderson, he's a former bull rider, and he's going to school right now here at the UFC. He's I got a question for you.
So you got a comedy special out now. Can you talk a bit about the process, what goes into producing one of those? I can imagine what kind of work it would be to kind of coordinate everything.
Yeah, sure. It's my first comedy album I've had in 10 years, solo. I did a project with Foxworthy a year and a half ago, and then me, Jeff, and Bill did a project about 8 years ago. And my last full-on solo album was 10 years ago, and that was the one that I did at the stadium here in Lincoln. I think we had 53,000, and that was on Comedy Central. But I didn't know if I was going to do another one, and they came to me and asked me, Comedy Dynamics, if I wanted to do another special. They'd worked with me before, and they liked my stuff, and I still got an awesome fan base, and I'd never really considered it since I only do about 30 shows a year now. I'm kind of slowing down, but I went through my notes from my last special and threw out everything that people have already heard on a CD or a special, and I had about 47 minutes, I think, 40 minutes left. So I figured, well, if they want a new special, I got to write about another 25 to 30 minutes. I asked them how long I had. They said a year and a half, and I said, yeah, let's do it. I can come up with some more stuff and get ready to go. So that's basically all that there is. And then it's just basically what I do all the time. It's just writing and putting jokes together and coming up with different types of material. You know, I told my wife I didn't think I could do any more jokes about Walmart than I've already done, but I went in there twice and came out with 7 minutes. So I mean, what the heck? So and then to get ready for it, since I didn't do as many dates, I had one date booked in Wisconsin. And so we decided, well, let's do another bus tour. I hadn't done a bus tour in about 5 years because I fly to everything now. I said, let's just piece together some stuff. I'll take a cut and pay, and let's just go in, sell as many tickets as we can to these smaller arenas, and I'll work our way down because I have one more date in Joliet, Illinois. So that's a great place to tape a concert. So that's what we did. We went ahead and booked a 9-day run. And so I went and I did shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think we started on a Thursday, so we went from Thursday through Sunday, from Monday all the way to the next Saturday. And we booked a huge bus tour, and every night I went on stage and I worked on the new stuff, worked on the old stuff, made sure I got everything in working order. And by the time I got to my last night, we did 2 shows, and it went smooth. We were taping 2, and I got done with the first show, and the guy directing it and that bought it, he came back after the first show. He said, hey, I'll be honest with you. He goes, have fun the second show, do what you want, but as far as getting what we need, we got it all on the first show. So that was pretty much it. And then they just they find a place then they said they wanted to air it April 17th. And then the next step is just getting a bunch of press so we can get it out so people talk about it. And I'm proud of it. It's funny. I think it's some of the best stuff I've done, a lot of great one-liners. I know it's got to be pretty good because even critics that don't like me like it.
We watched it the other night here, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked the stories about Mater, too. That's had to be a fun journey. And like I was reading on one of the interviews you've already done, it was a whole new audience for you to get into cars.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. And I was so excited when they offered me that role. And if I can, I would say, woo-hoo, I was happier than a tornado in the trailer park.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was really cool, and filming it was a lot of fun. I always tell everybody I'm very underrated when it comes to voiceovers because I'm the only guy that's ever done voiceovers that puts on weight to do the character.
What is that process like? Are you all together in a studio, like with all the different people there, or is it separate, or do you do it from home and send them the audio, or how does that what's that process like?
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. I go out there, I see the script sitting in front of me. I didn't even see the script till I went out there the first time. They told me about the character and what they wanted, and I said okay, and I went out there, and John Lasseter, my first time there, John Lasseter met me at the doors and showed me around and introduced me to everybody and make me feel comfortable. And then we went in the studio, and we had the first session I ever did was only about 2 hours long. I ended up doing, I think, 8 or 9 sessions at 4 hours a session throughout a year and a half. And John Lasseter and Darla Anderson, the co-producer, they're both sitting in a chair in a room with me. And then to the left are about there's a guy running the board, and then there's 5 animators that watch you. And I think what they do is it looks like they're sketching you. So they're sketching your facial expressions, kind of taking notes, how you're saying stuff to match your mouth. And I don't see anything. They just read the line before you, point at you, and you do your stuff. And then the next time you go in, they'll show you a little mock-up, and it's not even full animation. It's kind of like when you take a paper and you drew the animation on the paper and you flip the pages and it makes a little movie. It was kind of like that in black and white. And then I think about the 5th time I went out there, they showed me a 2.5-minute segment that was finished, which was awesome. And that's it. I don't even see any of the cast members. The first time I saw the movie, we had the premiere at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and they had 6 screens set up, big screens. And the first time I ever saw Mater full was that night, and it was so stinking awesome. And what was really cool about that night was it was my first foray into all this Pixar stardom stuff. And so they had this huge stage, and they had a concert, and they wanted me to host the concert. So I'm bringing people on and off stage, and I'm standing backstage, and all of a sudden I look, and there's Chuck Berry sitting on a speaker tuning up his guitar. And he looks over and he goes, "Larry the Cable Guy." I go, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Man, get over here. My wife and I just love you to death." I'm like going, "Man, it's Chuck Berry."
Holy.
And then, I know. And then he went long. And this was the thing that sucked about Chuck Berry. He went, since I'm the host, I got to keep the show moving. And they go, "You got to go on there, go on there." And he's in the middle of a song, and they go, "You got to go, and just say his name, and let's move this along." I said, "You want me to go on stage and cut Chuck Berry off? Are you kidding me?" And so, sure enough, John Lasseter says, "You got to do it there. You got to go up there." So I went up there. I go, "Hey, everybody, Chuck Berry, let's make some noise." Everybody started cheering. He kind of looked at me like, "What are you doing?"
Oh,
and
no.
so he went off stage, and they had to tell him, though. It wasn't my fault. They made him do it, so he wasn't mad at me. But I do have one funny story, though. I remember Paul Newman. I brought him on stage, and he was really cool. He pointed at me and laughed. I sat across from him at dinner that night. He's the guy that gave me information on how to I have a foundation and I do a lot of foods. And I told him I wanted to be the redneck Paul Newman. And so he gave me information on how he did his products. And he was a lot of help. But the next day I brought him on stage and I said, folks, Paul Newman is 82 years old. And that boy took a race car this afternoon and drove around this track 15 times at 180 miles an hour. And I said, you would never know Paul Newman is as old as he is, except in the movie Cars, because he's the only character that drives around the entire movie with his blinker on.
Oh, man. Well, speaking of time, we're overtime here already. But I got two more things. If you still have time, Larry, I don't want to keep you for if you got a busy schedule today.
Ted, you're killing me, man. You're killing me.
Oh man, Canada. I came to one of your shows in Edmonton. I think in 2003. My brother and I went. I was probably like 12 or 13 years old. I just want to talk Canada. What's your favorite Canada story in your career?
Oh man, I love Canada. Holy smokes, I did. That was a good year too. I think I did 2 nights in a row at that arena there in Edmonton. I remember that. I did 2 nights in a row at the Saddle Dome in Calgary, and then I came over to Edmonton. We did 2 nights. I think we did 8,000 a night. I mean, it was fantastic. Canada is so much stinking fun. My favorite memory of Canada is we were going up, way up in the Canadian Rockies, way up north. What is that? There's a Dawson Creek, Canada.
Yeah, BC, Dawson Creek, BC.
Way up there, right?
Yeah, it's like 10 hours from Calgary.
Yeah, and it's like we're on the tour bus, and it's starting to snow, and we're going up some hill. Well, we got to slow down because there's a big rig with logs on it coming off a side road. And we literally just got done saying, there ain't no way I'm selling. How did I sell tickets up here? Ain't nobody up here knows ain't nothing up here but sled dogs and Eskimos. Right? I go, there ain't nobody knows who I am up here. They're nuts booking me up in this place. And that truck pulls out and gets in front of the bus, and written on the logs on the back, so you can see it in blue spray paint, get her done.
Oh.
And I was like, God bless Canada, man. I love them. I mean, Canada's fun, man. You know, everybody likes to laugh and drink beer. It's a good place.
Well, we hope to see you back up here sometime. Wazy, I'll wrap us up here quick so we don't keep you any longer.
Yeah, so the one question we ask all our guests is what their definition of cowboy shit is. So what would be yours?
What their definition of cowboy shit is. Oh, man. Neil McCoy. Anything Neil, dude, those daggum iron pressed Levi's.
The starch, right?
The iron, the starched Levi's. That's cowboy shit.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks so much for this. This was so awesome. I appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this. Have a great rest of your
biggest guest to date.
Day. Yeah, thanks again, Larry. Thanks so much.
You got it, man. I was happy to do it. I was glad you guys called and wanted me to. I appreciate what y'all do and do it so much. And hey, keep it alive, man. Keep it alive.
Oh, we will. We look forward to talking to you again someday soon too. Thanks so much, Larry. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
You guys, see you later.
Stay well. All right, bye.
Get her done.
Just do what Larry does. Say, Lord, I apologize.
Get up off your lazy ass. This world is turning mighty fast. Hunker down and yank your britches up. Get it wild, but getting's good. You know damn well that you should. Little piece of life just ain't enough. Get it wild, but getting good. Get it done. You know damn well that you should.
Thanks again to Mr. Larry the Cable Guy. Do you call him Mr. Larry? What would you?
Mr. Cable Guy?
Mr. Cable Guy? Thank you to Larry the Cable Guy for being on the podcast this week. Unreal guest. Such a great conversation.
Super cool.
I hope we didn't hold him up too much. We went over our time there a little bit, but it seemed like I think he enjoyed the conversation. I think we threw him off with the cowboy shit definition though a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I think it was good. It was really engaging, and he had told some cool stories, and that was good stuff. Man.
Again, Remain Seated is from Comedy Dynamics. It's out via Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, Dish, DirecTV, Spectrum, Google Play, and more. It's been out since the beginning of April. That was a lot of fun. That was such a cool experience, such a cool interview. I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was super cool, man. It's such a talk to a guy like of that stature, like basically an A-list celebrity. It was pretty neat just to kind of pick his brain for half an hour or so.
So now that Larry's been on the show, I guess Carey Price has no excuses now, really, because I mean,
we got to get Pricer on that.
Like Larry's way more famous than Carey, so I mean, Carey, you're up, I think, man. Like I don't know you, but just saying, if you want to be on the show, we're still here.
I wasn't a fangirl too hard.
Okay, what do we got next? We got Dirty Money. I gotta talk about this. Holy shit, we're watching a bit of the Netflix and got on this Dirty Money show. There's some crazy stuff like Wells Fargo doing some shady shit. What else was in there? It was Wells Fargo. There was some stuff about Jared Kushner being a total slumlord with like having a bunch of different apartments in Manhattan, and then there was like, I don't know. We watched this last one. It was called Guardianship Inc. And it was these people that become guardians in the States, and they just totally rip off and just abuse the system with different people. They just go in and say they're mentally incapable, like, and they can't handle their own stuff, and they just put them in homes and take all their money and just basically just. It's totally absurd. Like, I was appalled by what was going on. It felt so horrible for these people.
That's crazy shit.
Yeah, it was sickening to see what was going on. These people just don't think, like, they just say they're being their guardian, and they just take and sell all their shit. They get a commission. They, like, I don't know. It's totally absurd. And the state, I don't know if the state's in on it because there's no media on it hardly right now, and like, it's totally insane. Like, I'm flabbergasted by what is going on with this Dirty Money, like this guardianship stuff. So, and if you haven't seen it, it's the guardianship episode on Dirty Money on Netflix. So check it out. You'll probably be pissed off as much as I was, and just totally, I don't know. I'm looking forward to talking to you.
It's crazy how people can do It's crazy how people can do that.
Well, I even looked. It's even something that's in Canada too. Like, I don't know if it's to the same extent as far as the corruption goes, but like there's this one lady on this show that you'll just want to, like, I don't know. You just hope that she goes to jail for a really long time for what she's doing to this one family, let alone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is worse than Carol Baskin. Like, this lady is, well, she should be. Yeah, this lady should be. I don't even know. She should be in jail for way longer than Joe Exotic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. I have this brings up a question that I saw the other day on Twitter. If you could commit one crime, like that you get one hall pass to commit whatever crime you want, what crime are you committing?
If I'm committing a crime?
Yeah, you have a hall pass to commit whatever crime you want. What are you going to commit?
I don't think I want to still at all. I'm
I'd rob a bank for sure.
You would rob a bank? And
if I was allowed to do it and get off scot-free, I would fucking rob the shit out of that bank.
What? Oh, just so you'd have some more money or what?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
But what? I don't know.
What do you mean, but what? What do you mean, but what? You get a hall pass to commit any crime. I don't want to murder anybody. Know that.
You just want to rob a bank. But what about, where does that money come from? Are you robbing the, like, who's gonna take a loss on that robbery?
People who have their money in that bank, I guess. I don't know.
So you're stealing people's money.
If I get to do it, and I'm not going to get in trouble for it. You think you're diving deeper into the question than what it should be, but.
Well, I'm looking at it morally, like how do you just steal money from people, man? That's not cool. I don't like it.
I'm allowed to commit a crime, man. I'm stealing the money. No
I don't
shame.
know. If you're gonna rob a bank, you might as well rob the government for how much they rob us already. Maybe that's a better place to go.
Either way is the crime I'm committing. I'm getting some sort of money out of it.
You're just getting your own money back.
Yeah. Either way, yeah, I'll take back all the taxes they took off from me over the years.
Right? If you could commit one crime, it would be tax fraud, so you can get your own money back. That would be.
Get my own money.
That
Even
would
if I
be
get back
something.
the taxes they took off the 3 years I worked in the rig that I have so much money.
You could retire on that money, on the
Fuck,
rig
man,
money.
Yeah, 40% of my rig checks every
Yeah,
3 years.
that would be. That seems like a more reasonable crime because it's your own money. Then you're not taking anyone else's money.
Some I rob a bank might be kind of good, like a little thrill, like
Yeah,
little
I
old
don't
days, like an outlaw.
Or
Anyways.
would you rob Wall Street for all the dirty? Like once you watch Dirty Money, man, you're gonna hate all that stuff because it is absurd what goes on. The different fraudulent activities. There was another one about like dirty gold coming from Central and South America, and the drug like people are laundering money through the gold. Like, man, I got in some serious conspiracy shit with this Dirty Money show. It's like everybody's talking about Ozark, and like we watched one episode, whatever. But then
Yeah, I haven't got it. Honestly, man, I've watched
this
zero
one.
Netflix or like any like
Since
TV
the
the
sun
last-
came out, yeah, we haven't barely turned on our TV either.
The only
first binge day.
Netflix the most recent thing I've watched on Netflix was Chris D'Elia's comedy special,
We watched it too.
which was
We watched two
man,
of
it
them
was
now.
so good.
Yeah, he's
That guy
great.
is so funny.
He's great.
Have you watched all of his Netflix stuff?
Man, I loved Larry's comedy special too. By the way, the one that we just mentioned, his new show. It was great. It was so cool to
Yeah.
see him back again because like I haven't seen anything from. I mean, I haven't paid super close attention. There's some from Ron White on Netflix, but it's kind of like got me back into comedy a bit more. And like, yeah, we watched some Chris D'Elia stuff. We watched the one special from Ken Jeong too, from The Hangover.
His would be good.
Man, his was really cool because he kind of just told some stories about The Hangover and like becoming an actor. He's
Have
a
you ever
real
watched,
doctor.
Have you ever watched Community?
Oh yeah, I watched a ton of Community. I don't know when
Yeah.
I watched it now though. Like I forget the timeline on
He's
when
so
I
good.
watched
He's
it.
so good in that. He's so good in that.
Oh
show.
yeah, like isn't Chevy Chase in there too? And then Donald Glover is Childish Gambino, the rapper. It's the same
bro.
guy. And then
You know what you guys need to watch?
Troy and
on
Abed in the
Netflix
morning. Those guys were funny.
Is watch Chris D'Elia's Comedians of the World special. It's like a half an hour show, but it is fucking so funny, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's really really good. He's far and away my favorite comedian.
We
The
watched.
way it is for me.
I remember watching a couple shows about Kevin Hart too. I enjoyed his shows.
Yeah, these are pretty good.
There's
too.
some
I guess
pretty crazy
apparently
stuff.
Apparently Dave Chappelle's specials are supposed to be really good as well.
Yeah, we
I've
watched
heard
some of
from a
his
lot
stuff
people.
as well. Definitely. Big fan of the comedians during quarantine. Been big.
Russell
into those.
Peters, his stuff on Netflix is good.
I haven't seen any of his stuff lately, but he's great. Isn't he Canadian too?
Good, yeah, Canadian boy.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, what else you got before we wrap up here today? On episode
so one
64.
Another question I thought of was, what's one event you wish you could have competed at in your career when you're riding the bull doing the thing?
Competed at?
Mm-hmm. Like you'd be riding the bull. You know, I know you've worked a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's an interesting question because I got to ride at Calgary in the steer riding, which was unreal at the time. But I don't know. I'm not as interested in riding right anymore because of I don't know. I'm 30. I'm gonna be 30 on Friday, so like.
Oh, balls.
Yeah, I know, right? Like I don't think I'm gonna be making a comeback anytime soon. I'm not sure, man. I don't know. Like I'd like to say like the NFR or something, or like, you know, it might have been cool to ride in a place like Cheyenne or Pendleton, maybe. But I kind of, I don't know, being able to see those places is pretty neat too, and going and being around the event still. So yeah, I don't know if it'd make much of a difference to have ridden there now. I guess, you know,
That's
the big
fair.
one was Calgary, because I could always say I rode there when I was a kid in the steer riding, but
Which is still pretty damn cool.
yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Mine would be the CFR.
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good one too. Especially when it was like nothing against Red Deer, but it was so cool to like start off in Edmonton. It was such a big crowd, such a big deal. Like I would have liked to make the CFR on the bull ride, and that would have been a pretty cool accomplishment to have on my list. Because a guy makes a couple good rides, but like to actually go and and
Be one of the top guys in the country for
to
a year.
qualify and
That's
make
cool.
it, and that
Yeah.
would be neat. I'd
It'd
love
be-
to have a CFR back number on my wall. That's true.
Yeah,
Good call.
for me it was between like the CFR and the PBR Canadian final, just because like for me like that was a big goal of mine when I was still riding, is because like it was in Saskatoon and like so much of my friends and family are
Oh
there.
yeah,
It'd be
would have
just
been
a
unreal for you.
Cool. Yeah, so it's something I ponder often, just because like I don't know. Before I quit, I left a lot of unfinished business on the table because I didn't get to quit
On your own terms, really.
by choice. Yeah.
Well, man, if I look back at bull riding too, like the last season I actually competed was 2011, and my biggest year in rodeo, like in bull riding, was 2010. Like that was when I filled my permit in 2010. I had like one full year in 2011, and I didn't do anything. But like, there's a few guys where it's kind of like that, where you kind of have a couple years. Like a guy like Todd Kutowitz kind of had a couple years where he kind of like didn't have the greatest years, and then he goes and steps up, makes the finals a couple times, and like if I could have kept going, maybe I would have got to the CFR at some point. I don't know. I never competed again after I was 21. Like that, I never had another real year. So
yeah,
I've kind of been on this other path since. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. I guess it's easy to sit and look back on it that way too and say it, but who knows? But I think the pros is such a grind where you gotta like find your groove and settle in. Like you even look like a guy Tim Lipset when he was going really hard. Like he had the same kind of thing as Todd. Like a few years where he
and then he makes the finals.
Click. He makes finals a couple years in a row. It's just some of those deals where you just kind of gotta find your groove and whatever. But yeah.
Well, who another guy that I think had that same thing was Tyler Thompson. It took him a few years to get to go to qualify to make the CFR, I believe too. I think it took him a couple times.
He was 26 his first CFR. He said.
Yeah, so it took him a few years too. It took him a while, right? So yeah, I mean that's true. And I like growing up for me, like Edmonton was the pinnacle. That's why I wanted to start riding. I went there when I was, I think 11 or something, back in 01, 02 maybe. And decided I wanted to go and be there. And then the CFR for us ended up being Strathmore, which was shit for a few years for the steer riding. Took it out of the finals. So I made it when it was in Strathmore, which was horse shit. But I mean that to take that away from those kids when it had been there for forever was pretty brutal on on the behalf of whoever was involved. I think that's kind of bullshit. But I mean.
Yeah, no, I feel you for sure.
You can take the fucking dogs acts out of the finals. Don't.
Yeah.
That's what you take out. You don't take out the fucking kids events when this is a sport that needs that. So that's my 2 cents there.
I mean, it doesn't really add that much to your show, really. Like 6 horses and 6.
Yeah, it's
steers,
12. It's another event. It's 10 minutes, right?
2 shoot loads. You can literally 2 shoot loads.
Yeah, you can cut it. You can cut 10 minutes somewhere else, right? Like looking at these shows now. Yeah, there was a fucking dog act at the CFR at one point, right? Like, that's not rodeo. They had Blake Shelton. Remember Blake Shelton at the start of the fucking CFR too that time?
No, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? He had a full concert, like 30 minutes after, and he was half cut one night. That was a thing. Funny. Like, I don't want to I'm trying not to be offensive here, but like, yeah, there was a fucking dog show in the middle of the CFR.
Man, I'll never forget the last year they had the CFR in Edmonton. And that Friday night perf was the longest rodeo I've been at in my life.
And that's the third perf. Like you say that you got a couple like easy goes to like get into it, but no, it's Friday. Yeah, you said it was like 3 hours. Wasn't that the year of the
Global Cup? Yeah, same year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was. And I remember it was like 11:30, and they're starting the bull riding. It was like,
oh my gosh.
I shouldn't say this, but I just want to go to the bar.
Yeah. Man, the parties were unreal in Edmonton. That was like the first time when I got in the bar when I was a kid. The ranch back in 06 in Edmonton. Good memories. I think that's where our editor Sean met his wife, was at the ranch at the bar.
Really? Well, we were telling first date stories there on our
Zoom
party call.
Our Zoom call.
Yeah. for me growing up a little different because I grew up in Saskatchewan, so like
it was
for me,
exhibition.
Like, the CCA finals in exhibition that was it, and getting to ride there the few times that I did was pretty cool once I finally got there.
Yeah. Well, and there'll be times too with Red Deer, like Red Deer with the CFR with the cabarets. Like there's gonna be some sweet memories and parties made there too at different points. Like when you got the buckle presentations and everything all together. Like it's pretty kick ass, and that's another one that's probably could be next on the list for being in danger for going or not this year.
Where do you draw the line there?
Oh man, I don't know. It's such a big event to plan, and it's such it'd be such a gamble with Westerner with the stuff that's been happening with everything going on right now to take a risk and have that's a few $1 million event.
You could classify it as so given like the COVID rules, like that would be like a super spreader event.
Yeah. Unless there's I don't know, would you say unless there's a vaccine or unless there's
Yeah.
Unless there's a vaccine, you can't do it. And I don't think our phases will be open up enough to have like 10,000 people in an arena for.
Well, I think you even got to have even the rodeo season, like we said earlier. Like
yeah, there's no season.
Schedule's been canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it gets to like 70, if you only have 25% of your rodeos left, how do you even garner a season out of that?
It's only May right now. You know, like this whole season might be canceled. And then, I mean, I don't know how much different it'll be in the States when they get back, but we could be looking at having no NFR this year. I know they're not going to want to go that route, but we're far from over this thing, I think, in a lot of places as far as the data shows right now. So
I agree. But it sucks talking about it, but I mean, it's the reality we're living in right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that whole deal with Stampede. It's like we all knew it was coming, but just like actually hearing the word that it was canceled was kind of just a shitty blow. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, enough doom and gloom for now. Hope everybody's staying safe out there, enjoying the sun a little bit from a distance with all the other folks. Hope you're getting some golf in and whatever else you might want to do in the summertime. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Thanks again for listening. Thanks to Larry the Cable Guy, Mr. Whitney there for being on the show. It's been unreal. Wasey, thanks again. Thanks to our editor, Sean Morton. Appreciate everybody being part of Cowboy Shit. Thanks again.
I miss my mom, I miss my dad.